What's up, vlog? Your boy is covering the Charlotte Knights today. My first time going out to the Knights Stadium. Super excited. Well, not my first time going to the stadium. You've seen my first time going to the stadium. It's my first time going as a member of the media. Bye, car. All right. Let's go write about some sports. Seventh inning scorecard check. How's everybody looking? Scorecard looking good?
It's the last inning.
Looking good over there?
Missed a few. We got TrackMan issues.
Seventh inning scorecard check. How you looking? Looking good? Nice. How's yours?
I haven't done one.
Oh, I see.
I don't do one.
I see.
The only one you check for me is Phil. Don't check Bruce or Alan. Yeah, I told him, don't cheat off of me. I'm never right.
Well, it was a rain-shortened Charlotte Knights media debut, as it's still raining currently. That was a blast. I'll talk about some of my process once I get back to the car. So I got to the game and they had game notes for the Knights, which they call Knights Notes, which is cute. They had Nashville Sounds game notes, and these are just pages and pages of stats and stories and just little blurbs. This is the team's record when this player starts at whatever slot in the batting order. So when Green is number 4 in the order, they're 17-2, and that's just a stat that they have available to you if that's something that you would like to know about. Anyway, so I didn't really look at the Nashville Sounds because I'm there covering the Charlotte Knights. So my goal going into the game was to have 2 articles written, a feature and like a notebook type thing. A feature is usually just focused on one player, giving a brief rundown of maybe their career or their performance so far throughout the season. That's usually what a feature is. It could be opinionated, it could be fact-based, it could be a mixture of both, but that's what a feature is. So it was my goal to get there, sit down, write a feature, write a notebook, and go from there. So I looked at the Knights notes, flipped it open, first page, boom, Jimmy Lambert, the starting pitcher for the game. This page was like the only page that I looked at, and I decided I'm going with a Jimmy Lambert feature, which is here, Jimmy Lambert. I had a Google document open for just some quick notes, and then that's for the notebook one. For the notebook piece, I actually didn't end up doing that one because the game got shortened by rain. They ended up calling it in the 7th inning, and it was a 3-2 game, so they didn't really give me a whole lot to work with in terms of things that were positive or things that were negative. But here was just like my little blurbs throughout. Gavin Sheets continues his hot tear with the Charlotte Knights, going 1 for 1 with a 2-run, and then I just stopped because I was gonna add to that the more that he came up to bat, but he only hit a single after that, and then the game was called. Lambert cruised through 4 innings. That's good, because that ended up being my feature. Jake Berger, defense is good. Evan Skaug has presence behind the plate. And then I started to write the Charlotte Knights split their series with the Nashville Sounds at 3 apiece after a rain-shortened Sunday afternoon ball game gave the Knights their 3rd straight victory. If you've seen Major League 2, we call that a winning streak. Before the great floodgates of the sky opened, the Knights played 7 innings of good baseball. Gavin Sheets, who has gotten off to an incredibly hot start, continued to make solid contact with the baseball. Sheets had 2 hits and 3 at-bats in Sunday's game, one of them being a 2-run home run in the 3rd inning that scored Jake Berger. And then the game got called, and I was like, well, this notebook probably is not going to be all that great. And I want to show you that because I think it's important to see just how much note-taking you need to do during a game. Jake Berger, defense is good. There's plenty there. You can expound on that pretty easily. Evan Skoug has presence behind plate. Same thing. You can expound on that pretty easily. Get a couple sentences about how he calls a good game, how he looks confident. He has a good relationship with his pitcher when he goes out for mound visits. The pitcher comes back and executes his pitch as well. All those things that I noticed throughout the game. And then when I come back later and look at that little thing, Evan Skoug has presence behind the plate. I can recall, oh yeah, all these things. Boom, couple sentences, paragraph, notebook. But I wanted to show you that so that you can see kind of the process of like something that didn't work out, something I didn't end up posting. Hopefully that's helpful. Not everything you write has to be amazing. And sometimes you write something and you don't finish it. But I will do a notebook eventually for somebody, and I will walk you through that process when that happens. And then Jimmy Lambert here, which is actually already posted because I finished it and it's way later now. But here's that. This is my article. So yeah, that's that. Okay, let's just jump back here. So I was working on that as I was keeping score of the game. They provide this sheet. So rather than use my own, I decided to just use this. So anyway, keeping score of the game, got my laptop up, got the game notes. I wanted to write a feature on Jimmy Lambert. And you'll probably look at this and be like, well, what can I do with this? Where is there a story in here? And the stat that jumped out at me, or the couple stats that jumped out at me, just briefly looking at this page, was his starts, his game-by-game results for Charlotte this season. You can see he started 5 games so far. In each one, he's pitched longer and longer. 1 1/3, 1 2/3, 2 2/3, 3 innings, 3 innings. In today's game, he ended up pitching his longest outing of the season. Jimmy Lambert, 4 2/3 innings, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, faced 19 batters. He's given up fewer runs in each appearance. 3-3, 2-1-1, 3-3, 2-1-1. He's struck out more people per, I mean, that makes sense, but I mean, it's still good that his performance is scaling in that way. So 3 in 1 1/3, 4 in 1 2/3, 5 in 2 2/3, 5 in 3 innings, 6 in 3 innings. So that tells me that the Chicago White Sox or the Charlotte Knights are limiting Jimmy Lambert's time in a game, and they're trying to ease him into this season. So each start he goes a little bit longer, he's performing a little bit better. Why is that? So dug into it. I mean, I knew this already, but Jimmy Lambert is coming off of Tommy John surgery, so that's part of the reason why the Chicago White Sox organization would want him to pitch less at the beginning of the season, because he's just working his way back from Tommy John surgery. So this was huge for me. Looking at this, I was like, okay, just in this section right here, there's an article there. I didn't have to look much further than that. I mean, there's more pages of notes like this for each batter. There's stuff, miscellaneous stats, 2021 home run breakdown, total, at home, on the road, solo, 3-run, 2-run, grand slam, tying, go ahead, late inning, tying late inning, go ahead, late inning. There's just so much here. But I got to the first page and I was like, boom, that's my article. So I put in Jimmy Lambert, got all this typed up, and you can go here and read it. But it went through a couple different iterations, because obviously, like, I'm not gonna write a perfect article right out of the gate. And my editor, Brett, added some stuff and changed some stuff, so it wasn't even, perfect. When I thought it was finished, he had some stuff to go in and change. There's a story of his career right here, like 2019. Well, first of all, right here, that's the beginning of his story. June 2016, first year player draft, 5th round pick, Chicago White Sox, Jimmy Lambert. That's the beginning. Okay, you got his 2019 here, you got his 2020, you got his 2021, and you could write an entire article just from this. Like, you wouldn't think that there's a lot here, but there's a lot here on Jimmy Lambert. So as the game went on, I kind of just told the story of Jimmy Lambert. I weaved in his performance on the day, Sunday's outing in Charlotte was Lambert's longest of the season so far, as he exited after 4 2/3 innings with 91 pitches thrown. Actually, let's go to the final. Sunday's outing in Charlotte was Lambert's longest of the season so far, as he exited after 4 2/3. So I told the story of Jimmy Lambert, kind of his draft, where he was chosen, his route through Major League Baseball, which just comes from this. You can see every year that he was in the White Sox organization, he got promoted. So in 2016, he was in Kannapolis. 2017, he went to Winston-Salem. 2018, he went to Birmingham. 2019, he was in Birmingham. 2020, he was briefly on the White Sox for 2 games, but then in 2021, he's in Charlotte. So that's all, like, there's a story here that you can tell if you look and if you can piece it all together. These numbers and charts and everything can become this. This chart can become this. You just have to know what you're looking for here and how you can turn that into a story. This one's easier because I did that. Like here, we could write a feature on Brian Goodwin. You know, he was drafted in the first round, 34th overall in 2011 by Washington. The Chicago White Sox signed outfielder Brian Goodwin and assigned him to Charlotte's active roster on May 6th of 2021. He was originally drafted by the Washington Nationals in the first round of the 2011 first-year player draft. He made his Major League debut with the Nationals on August 6th, 2016. First of all, before I get too far, there's a story there. His 5-year stint in the minor leagues and how he performed and worked his way through the Washington Nationals organization before finally making his debut August 6th of 2016. So you can tell that story. And then you can jump over to him being signed by the White Sox and being assigned to Charlotte, and then drop in the connection to Rocky Mountain, North Carolina, go over his season stats so far, talk about the White Sox outfielding situation and how he might not be able to make it because they have Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and a couple other guys who are already Major League quality platooning in right field. So he's kind of blocked, unfortunately, Brian Goodwin, from making it to the majors. And at 30 years old, with 4 years of pro experience in the majors, that's kind of a bummer. You'd hope to be in the majors playing full time by the time that you're 30. So, I mean, there's a whole feature on Brian Goodwin right there that we just broke down just from this. From this little chunk, you can write a story about Brian Goodwin, and the same could be said for Tim Beckham, Luis Gonzalez, Jake Berger, Joe DiCarlo. Literally all of these guys, you can write a feature story on them from this much. And if you're looking for like something to do to practice writing features, like take a screenshot of this. Take a screenshot of this. I searched Jimmy Lambert White Sox, okay? And then I went to CBS Sports because they had a breakdown of all of his player updates. So you can scroll back. White Sox, Jimmy Lambert, dealing with strained forearm. Probably going to have Tommy John surgery. White Sox, Jimmy Lambert, undergoes Tommy John surgery, June 29th. White Sox, Jimmy Lambert, able to throw again, November 18th. So see, June to November, that's 5 months before he could throw again. White Sox, Jimmy Lambert, contract selected. Jimmy Lambert was added to the White Sox 40-man roster. So that's wonderful. So then November, in April, White Sox Jimmy Lambert optioned to Double-A. April to June, Jimmy Lambert talking about how he will be part of the 60-man roster pool. So this was in the 2020 season when they were doing the alternate site stuff. White Sox Jimmy Lambert completes live bullpen. That was July 6th. So he had Tommy John June 29th, and then he threw his first bullpen July 6th. So over a year, just over a year later, like a year and a week later, he threw live bullpen. White Sox Jimmy Lambert added to 30-man roster. Lambert was recalled from AAA Charlotte. So added to the White Sox 30-man roster. I think that's what they had last year. Then Jimmy Lambert out with forearm strain, July 2020. Jimmy Lambert shuttled to 45-day injured list. Jimmy Lambert to be reevaluated in 6 weeks. Jimmy Lambert on track for spring. So shut down, reevaluated, on track for spring, slated to serve as starting depth. This is this season, makes spring debut. This was a huge resource for me because it's just like snippets of information that I needed for my article, and they have this for every player. Jose Ruiz, White Sox. CBS, I liked their breakdown, so let's find CBS. CBS Sports, player page, same deal. Gives you some headlines. I mean, you can see there's a story here. Serves as 26th man for a doubleheader. goes back to minors, goes back to majors, goes back to minors, recalled by White Sox, gets to start, sent back down, included in 60-man pool, injured, rejoins team, activated, rejoins Major League Club, headed back to alternate camp, rejoins Major League Club, optioned off roster, secures roster spot, fires 2 scoreless innings. So like there's a whole story right there about Jose Ruiz's journey to the White Sox, back to Charlotte, back to the White Sox, back to Charlotte, getting injured, back to Charlotte, back to the White Sox, and now he's a mainstay in the White Sox bullpen. So that's what I had in mind when I sat down, when I grabbed my Knights game notes and I opened my laptop and I looked out the window at the game and I was like, what am I gonna have by the time this game's over? And boom, Jimmy Lambert article. I was told that normally they would have the manager, Wes Helms, and some players available for interviews post-game. They're doing everything on Zoom right now. So to add to that Jimmy Lambert article, I would have asked Wes Helms, the manager of the Charlotte Knights, how he thought Lambert had been progressing through his outings so far. I would have asked him about any pitch counts that the White Sox may be enforcing on Lambert. Lambert was recently called up briefly to start a game of a doubleheader against the Detroit Tigers, so I would have asked Wes Helms if that was kind of a turning point for them to be able to increase his workload. Those quotes would have ended up in the article, and then it would have made the article better because there's quotes from the manager in the article. But you don't always have to have that, and there's no harm in quoting somebody else's quote. As long as you cite where it's from, drop in whatever quote you want into an article. You don't have to be the person interviewing the person. It does make it cooler if you get to be the one who's like, hey, I asked this guy about this, and this was the answer, and then everybody credits that to you, as opposed to you crediting somebody else for their interview. Regardless, without the interview, that was the article that I came away with, and I'm really happy with it. Even if you're not at a game, covering a game for an outlet, you can go to CBS or most other websites or a combination of all of them and start to piece together your own timeline and your own article for a feature. I hope this gave you some insight into how you can craft a feature story from game notes, from just little blurbs in a game note packet that they give you at a ballpark.